Hello, welcome to Waiting for Game, your new favorite podcast from your friends at Melee Stats. We're back again for a third week, and we're going international. We started from the New York Cody Schwab. Hey, I'm walking over here. The water makes the pizza good. Of IBDW. And then you got the Hey Man, SoCal. It's all about surfing it in and out of Slime. And we're taking an international flight over the pond. And now we're going to see our good friend Pipsqueak, the rising Swedish Fox player. And joining him is Edwin Budding.
Don't do a Boston accent, please don't.
Well, you're born in Jamaica. It's only fair that I do a Jamaican accent.
No.
This is how Melee Stats ends.
What's going on, Wheat? It's such a joy to be here with you and Pipsqueak.
You know, this is, I was going to say the best part of my week every week, but I mean, weekend is great. Probably that's the best. Second best part. I mean, I love a Friday night. A Friday night with a cold beer. That's great. But this is definitely a top 3 moment of every week where I can just talk to my good friends about the game I love most, which is Melee. And we're going to have a really cool one. You know, we are talking to the best in Europe, according to our little Twitter thing. And I'm excited to talk about all the things European today with Pipsqueak. So Pipsqueak, are you going to blame us for ruining your sleep schedule when we talk about Regen, or
no?
Okay.
I will. Never
I will let you say that. We'll take the blame.
I have no blame. My sleep schedule is great for Regen. You did not manage to ruin it despite your best efforts.
No, but they don't know that. You can throw all the blame on us. Say that we made you stay up until 3 a.m. every night, and you couldn't possibly.
Regen was because these people they held me hostage, and I didn't even get to see my family. It's a very rough period of my life, and now they're forcing me to stay here. I SOS, someone help me.
Yeah, we're making you sleep 2 hours a day, keep you awake the entire time.
Generous are we today?
Yeah, he actually has close to Stockholm syndrome.
Bruh, I live in Stockholm. It's not even. It doesn't even work at that level. How did you manage to not make it work on 4 different levels? That's very impressive. I have to be honest.
I wasn't sure whether you lived in the city itself or outside. I forgot.
My favorite Swedish city is close to Stockholm.
So the way it works is close to Sweden is very interesting in that our weather, since it historically has been very cold, our settlements are in a way where our cities are pretty big, and then there's a lot of space in between. So there's a little bit of exception nowadays but the historically big ones, they are pretty far apart, and the higher up you go, the fewer of them there are. And Stockholm is sort of we don't say everything that was around Stockholm has become Stockholm. It's just Stockholm now.
Well, for one, am glad that Edwin Baum so miraculously.
I'll make it up. I'll make up for it during the stock exchange. I promise.
Okay, well, we might not even get there if it's like this. I was worried. I, for one, was worried. We do a little, not a pre-show for the podcast, but we just check the levels, make sure that no one's going to be extremely loud or anything. And during this, I was singled out of conversation. These two right here picked every single thing. They buddied up on every single thing and didn't leave a word in for me edgewise. So I was really worried that this would happen on the main show. But considering Edwin kind of did that, I'm very tickled pink that he did that, because I don't think it's going to be happening.
I feel like you're lying. This does not match my recounting of events, and especially I want to say this was something I had no part in. I didn't do any of this, and then I was just involved. I got specifically asked about something you have no knowledge of, and I couldn't. I can't refuse. I can't go on a podcast and refuse the questions. Right? That's not how this works. Don't blame me. I'm a victim just as much as you are.
We're all
as much
as I
would love to have a separate podcast be all about artcore and progressive metal. I don't think that's what the listeners or the viewers are here for today.
I think we're here to talk about Regen Online, aren't we?
No.
Europe has been making some huge moves. You know, we talked about it briefly in the episode that we had last week with Slime, and I think that like this week probably one of the better showings for Europe as a whole, and like how it can continue to grow and really meet these expectations that people are putting on it. Regen Online, of course, the latest in the same circuit, which this is United Kingdom's version of their tournament. I kind of got it wrong last week because I said, who knows, Germany, who knows, maybe UK.
Yeah,
but
this was the UK one.
This was the British one, and I want to talk about this. Let's get into it. Do we have to talk about the elephant in the room first?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm good. We can talk about it.
Okay. I mean, I think one of the more important things is that from your post-tournament Twitter, after you go through all the tweets.
I haven't tweeted that much. It's less than normal, okay?
It happens. He's working on it. It's all part of the process.
Yeah, I'm working on tweeting more just to spite you.
After you go through all the tweets, you know, I did see tweets that you said that you felt very happy with your performance, very pleased.
No.
How would you describe it? What would you say?
No,
you were.
Where did you get this from? This is not what I said.
Maybe
we're starting off on such a bad foot.
Is your Twitter Frenzy SSBM? No,
okay.
I legitimately thought that you had a tweet.
No, so what happened was it's pretty simple. So I'm happy in the way that I've had a bit of a hard time recently in the fact that I was very behind in my studies and stuff because I have a pretty complicated situation with like my living situation and all that stuff and studying and getting all that shit done. So I had 2 weeks where I had to like drop mail entirely and just like super cram stuff and, you know, catch up. But what really I guess annoyed me was that it wasn't even that I was playing that bad. I feel like I was playing pretty good until I got iced out, pun intended, for 84 minutes in winners before my set, and I was told, "Oh, you're playing soon. It's fine. Just get ready to play." And I stopped warming up, and I like went in and sorted everything out in Smash EG, and then it took over an hour until I got to play. It took the set before me took 84 minutes, and they played 30 stocks and 12 games because Germany and the UK kept disconnecting. And that was the annoying part. But given that happened, and that was outside my control, I feel like I did pretty well. I feel like I wasn't like angry. My mentality was decent. I was mostly stressed about competing. But yeah, I think that's what the tweet was. The tweet was something along the lines of, yeah, I'm not disappointed that I like, you know, couldn't perform or like that I messed up super hard, or I'm not super angry, right? I'm mostly like, okay, I lost, but I lost to someone who, you know, did what I told them to do, because Ice beat me in a very poetic way. He beat me by reaction tech chasing me with crouch, which is something a year ago, or no, 2 years ago now, I did that to him for like the first time, and I said, "You have to do this. This is broken. I shouldn't have beat you at Super Bowl. The only reason I beat you is because I did this." And now we went to FD Game 5 again, and the reason he won was because he hit that dash out of crouch and killed me. And I was like, "Okay, fine. I can't be mad. You beat me with my technique. This is fine." So yeah.
I found the tweet, by the way.
What is it?
I can't believe I finished a same event without feeling soul crushed. I'm instead just regular crushed.
Oh, no.
So you could see how I read that as happy.
Oh no, I can tell you what it's about. This is so sad. So the same events, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but this is a very, very important like PSA or like a what's the word for it? This is a sincere plead. I'm pleading for TOs to learn this in the future. Every previous same event has had 200 entrants plus, and it's been a 1-day event with round robin pools. And you can't do round robin pools with 200 people and 1-day events. And the reason I'm only crushed this time and not soul crushed is because I didn't play for 12 hours and then lose. I only played 7 hours and then lost. And oh my God, I felt so good. I felt so good at the end of the event. It was like 9. I was out of the bracket at 9. It started at 2 instead of it starting at 11 and me being out at 11. I was so happy. Oh my God. I ended the bracket. I'm so mad. I'm so sad. I quit the stream. I didn't even say goodbye. I just clicked end stream and I was so sad. And then 10 minutes later, I was like, fuck, I gotta eat dinner. What? It's dinner time. This isn't what I'm used to. I'm used to being like, I gotta wake up tomorrow. It's midnight. So yeah, that's why I was only crushed. It's like the tournament didn't crush me. The loss crushed me. That's so much better.
Oh, it sounds like a huge improvement.
Yes, having it over 2 days turns out a much better experience as a competitor. Not gonna lie.
Well, what was the experience like, I guess, watching the rest of the tournament? Like, did it go as you expected? Like, was there anything of note that you...
Yeah, I'm sad, but yes, it did go as expected. So I lost to Mint, and I lost to Mint because of basically like not being... I was very stressed. I was like, I had 84 minutes to psych myself up and, overstress myself. So I played very, very shaky that set. And then he played Frenzy. And immediately after I saw that set, I realized that he sort of did the thing where, when you play very, very well, and then the longer into the set it goes, like the more stressed you get. And it's very, very obvious that you're like... you're not really in the game 5 mentality at the moment. I sort of saw that in winners, and I was like, okay, if Mint and Frenzy play again, Frenzy's gonna win. And then Levingi managed to beat Solo Battle, and I saw that, and I'm like, I don't think Levingi's ever beaten Frenzy. Frenzy's amazing in the Ditto. He's so good in the Ditto, it's ridiculous. And then he has beaten him, but it's been a while. And then I was like, okay, so if Solo Battle doesn't make it up there, the 2 people that are left in the tournament, they can't beat him. Like Mint had the mentality issue. I felt like that probably wouldn't get fixed. Maybe not. And then Levingi, I think, just has a pretty bad time versus Frenzy. And then Ice. I looked at the bracket and Solo Battle falls down to play Ice. And in my head, I don't think the way Ice plays against Puff works very well. So I saw that and I was like, okay. So there's like a 95% chance Frenzy wins this, but I really hope he doesn't because he's my one competitor in the point value. So my only goal now is to pray as hard as possible that he loses so that I get more points than him. And then he won. So I mean, good job, Frenzy. You're very good at the game. And I'm mad. I will beat you next time. I shouldn't have gone to losers. If I beat Mint, this wouldn't have happened, maybe.
And as much as I want to talk about the leaderboard, because man, there's some juicy stuff right there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's see if we can go a little more into Mint's run specifically. I think this was a surprise for some people who might not have really known Mint's results from LAN tournaments. Definitely a player who was not able to enter as much stuff to really show how top 100 level he was. And then one of the many players to switch to box during the pandemic, I believe.
Important correction here. He played a controller this tournament.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's and we finally get to see him on controller again, and look what happens, right? This is probably a good moment to show all the people who might not be familiar with Mint what we're really talking about when we talk about the ability to play at such a high level that he has. So obviously, the Pipsqueak set. We don't need to get further into that. But the entire run was pretty impressive for me. Really showcased like how high of a level even the mints of Europe are able to perform.
Even
Yeah, I
mints
mean,
a year ago.
even just looking at it right now, like I always mention this when it comes to like deep bracket runs, but you can never take like victories over good players like cumulatively for granted. Like if you're taking a look at like the people he's beating, like this is a lot of like Europe's mid level and like notable
Yeah.
rising players like Max, Mayhem, King. Like maybe a year and a half ago you would have taken Mint for granted in a lot of these, but like those three players have gotten a lot better in the last
No,
year.
I would still take it for granted. I have a hot
Really?
take about Mint, or not a hot take, but Mint is the exact type of playstyle that I think it's the type of player that tells me until you reach this like very specific top level, he's the one person you'll never ever beat. Is pretty much it. So like if there's anyone in bracket here except Triff on Peach, you're not beating Triff on Peach. There's no way. Outside of Triff, I think in this bracket here, it's the one person I'm like, if you're mid level, you're not beating Mint. Like
I feel like you guys have said this about Mint, like, and by you guys, I mean all of Europe is the source of an old beef between Melee Stats and Europe. You guys have been Mint believers for the longest time, and we've believed in him too. We loved him when he was the Game 5. What we believed in him when he was the Game 5 master before. But I think it's very funny that like every region has their one player who they all go to bat for, who like the rest of the world does not like fully have the context to. And I feel like Mint has been that way in Europe for such a long time.
In that case, I want to give some context because this is a very personal reason for why. I guess this hasn't really like even come up that often because we very rarely run into each other in bracket. But he's essentially always been my bracket demon for ages, and it's because the one thing he's really, really good at dealing with is the one bad habit I have. And it's always been this way. So like I talk to Prisant, and I think Prisant is decent at calling this out, and he doesn't have the same bad habit that I have. So to him, he's like, no, I think you're better than Mint. Like I have a harder time playing you than I have playing Mint. But then every time I play Mint, he beats me in this exact same way. And I'm working very hard on like solving it. But that one bad habit is sort of the if he doesn't do anything, it's very easy to play in a way that like automatically loses against him, in that he plays at distances and very reactively, and you just run in, and if you do it even like a little bit too far away, you're going to lose every time. And he's by far the best like whiff punisher in Europe. And I feel like at the mid level and at like all of these upcoming players, the one thing that separates a like real top player in Melee, in my opinion, to a weaker player is mostly just the confidence of when to commit to an option, an approach. Like how deep can you be before you commit to something? And Mint is very, very good at, if you commit too early, you're going to lose every time. And that's what I do. That's like my biggest weakness, I want to say, that I commit too early a lot of the time. And that's why I think he's such a like hard player to beat as a mid-level, because if I look at King DeFalco, it's like the biggest difference between King and Frenzy isn't that King kills you in 10 times as many hits, or that his lasers are way worse, or that he can't shine out a shield, or like, you know, all these things obviously are part of it, but the biggest thing is just that Frenzy, he'll be two like character lengths away from you and he won't do anything. He's like, yeah, I know you can hit me, but do you want to? And I mean, King doesn't really have that yet. And if you don't have that, I think it's very, very hard to beat Mint. I think it's very difficult.
So I think one of the biggest stories from Regen Online, if we're going to go from Northern Ireland and then go to mainland United Kingdom, is Prof, right? if you're talking about people who act as gatekeepers of their region, from an outsider's perspective, I would say that Prof is that player for definitely Britain as a whole, but possibly Europe. And we saw him lose to Renzo in what was it, round 2 pools?
Yes.
Like what? I would not have called that. What's your insight on this? Give me some insight. I want to hear.
I'll give the meme insight first, which is just the answer, Marf. But the way it works, I think, is that Prof has. Talking about Prof and his playstyle, there's a lot of things I don't agree with, but I'd call him a con artist in how he plays. In that, even when he plays bad, he looks like he's playing amazing. He's the type of player that, like, if I look at him play, no matter what he thinks he's playing or like how much he misses, he looks like he's the most like on point Fox of all time. It's just like the way he moves. He just like sells this illusion to me that he's the most technical player on the planet. And then I look and it's like he missed 4 punishes in a row and like missed 2 edge guards, and I'm like, wait, no. Why do I think he's on point? He never misses these. What's happening? And I get sold on that. And what I feel like versus Marv, it's the one character that's like, so here's why I think the Fox matchup is so hard, or the Marv matchup is so hard as a Fox main. It's the fact that if Marv runs up to you and like does rock paper scissor, nair, F smash, grab, if he does those 3 things sort of like the same distance, you kind of just like either have to guess right or punish like cleaner than him, which requires so hard execution. And still, if they punish really well, it's like kind of impossible. But against most Marvs, you can out punish them until you get to like Sane. But before that point, your execution is like really difficult there. And I feel like the way Prof plays, he's sort of it's way harder to beat him if you're like, okay, I'm gonna call out his movement, I'm gonna do this, and really I'm gonna show I'm the better player. But if you run up and get the grab, then he loses. And I think he's pretty vulnerable to that, where it's like he wants to make it, you have to interact with him in one way, but if you just don't pick that way and do like 3 other things, it's very easy in comparison. And as a Fox main, early bracket, what hands, hello, work. So it is what it is.
All right.
He dropped, and Renzo is really good. I want to point this out. Renzo is really good. He just hasn't entered the net play for ages. But
I was
top
gonna
10 in what is it, Netherlands?
I was gonna mention that the Netherlands in particular is just like, it's one of those I spoke with Rich, Melee Stats patron and a Norwegian player, about this before, and he mentioned how he was convinced that like you could take 15 inactive Netherlands players or like rarely active Netherlands players and they would keep up with the best of other countries. And seeing Renzo beat Prof, I felt pretty surprised. Obviously happy for Renzo, but I was also annoyed because I didn't include him in my 100 players to look out for in Europe because I considered him inactive. I was so annoyed. Like, why you gotta show me up like this?
Edwin. How are you going to let,
after I not include you?
how are you going to let Pipsqueak talk about how there's no skill involved in beating Prof in Marth Fox as a Marth main?
That's not what I said.
That's what I heard.
That's not what I said.
No,
I said the
Mewtwo
King style works very well. It's not easy to like actually make it a true rock paper scissors. That's why you don't see every Marth like beat every Fox, because it's very, very difficult to make it like a real mix up if you don't know exactly how to do it. But if you do, then that's a good way to like beat Prof, because I feel like Renzo is very, very strong in the punish game. And he has really tricky movement. But he's also, the one thing that makes him the scariest as a Fox main is the fact that I feel like he's the type of player that he has a timer, and this timer, it ticks down. It's like entropy, and it's the one like brain cell that says hello F smash, and it doesn't get questioned. Every other Marth, it's like, okay, so F smash brain cell, are you sure it's time to F smash? Yeah, I'm sure. Really though, okay, I'll F smash, and it's too late, and it misses. But I feel for him, it's like the brain cell comes, and he's like F smash, and it's like, okay, now he's so good at not doing it in like obvious spots, but when he does like the high risk stuff, it comes out of nowhere, and I really like watching him, but I hate playing him. He's the type of Marf I just the thought of playing him is like the most stressful thing, because he just like does like 4 edge cancels in a row, and like you see him just like move around. You're like, what are you doing? And then he just throws out the like basic run off the half the stage and just grab you, and you're like, what am I playing against?
I mean, look, you can't blame a guy for trying.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
We talked about it. No, you can't blame me for trying, is what I'm saying. I tried to pit you two against each other because, like we said,
That
you guys
doesn't
got two
happen.
buddy in the
Doesn't
pregame.
happen. Yeah. Now you're the enemy.
I've been the enemy this entire time. You guys bonded about how much you hate eating meat, and I'm here, a carnivore. I'm on the meat-only diet.
One thing I'll mention about Prof, and Pip, maybe you can get some insight into this. I never quite understood, like, when I see Prof in a player pool that he plays a lot, like whether it's the rest of the UK or even like at the Levos that he'd enter, he just seems so reliable, like impossible to upset. Like he seems like the kind of player where, like, if he plays someone worse, like you mentioned, like the gatekeeper, or like the kind of players that just never lose. When you look at Prof in the fields that he competes in, it feels like he's that kind of player. But I also feel like I don't know why people outside of the, like, who he plays with tend to sometimes randomly scare him. Like losing to Renzo, like what is Renzo like? What makes him different than all the other like good players that Prof beats all the time, or even someone like Ja Ryden, like out of the UK? I wonder what those players have, or like what Prof doesn't know to like exploit in those players that he does, and all the people that he plays all the time. And I guess that'll be the last thing we can say with Prof.
So I think the reasoning here is pretty simple. It's so Mint, it's sort of, you can trace the history here. I think Mint is sort of like a reaction to Prof in a lot of ways. Like the way, obviously, if you're in they're not in the same region, but they still play each other fairly regularly, right? And I feel like when someone comes up after the top player is already there, then you form your play style around them pretty well. And I think you're inspired by them, and you have that as like a model. But I think what Mint does is he's way more comfortable doing standard. He's way more comfortable playing the game and not the opponent. I feel like Prof has sort of this issue where all of his mechanics are really, really good, but I don't think I ever feel like I play Prof and he just like runs at me and presses buttons and does it better than me ever. Even though, yes, it's extremely good execution, I never feel like this happens. But when I play Mint, then sometimes that will just happen, where he's like, okay, well, this is a good place to do a nair or a good place to do a dare, I'm just gonna do it. And I got hit and I lose. And because Prof doesn't really do this, I think Prof is very, very much in the camp of like the side of the spectrum where it's like he beats me, and he beats me as a player, not as like an execution test, right? Like it obviously there's part of that too, but I feel like I have to do something and then he has to have the correct reaction, and then he beats me. He never does something and forces me to react, and that's really, really hard to beat if he's got experience beating you. Because if you played him and it's the same region, then he's learned what you like to do and he knows what to look out for. And you're gonna play and he's gonna wait and he's not gonna do anything. You're gonna make the same option you like doing. You're gonna run at him in the way he knows you're gonna run at him, and you're going to lose. But if there's a new player, I think the way Mint, and I think I'm way further in this direction, where I just like, playing the game better than you. I don't like beating you particularly. I like playing the game better than you. It's way easier to play someone out of region that way, because you just out mechanics them. You run at them and you do a better aerial than they do. You get a bigger punish, you edgeguard better, and then you don't really consider what type of player it is. But the way Prof plays, it's like, okay, let me get info and let me like beat you as a player. And this is obviously hyperbole because he's a very good player too, like as mechanics. He's not only gonna do this, but I think if you're gonna point at one like big difference and why he's so good versus in-region players and comparatively so bad at like out of region players, that's why I think that he needs time more so than other foxes.
Mm-hmm. It's really interesting that you mention in region versus out of region, because like it was announced last week, we are guaranteed to have the winner, or the first place on the leaderboard of the same circuit after FET, or Fate, as
Fet,
they like to call
I
it.
think.
We went over this. It's
Okay,
pronounced FET in
ignore
French, and then we went
ignore
over
it.
this on like an episode a year
It's
ago.
it's a bad name. It's a bad sorry, hot take. It's such a bad tournament name. Ignore it. I just call it the F tournament at this point. It's the F word. Just move on.
So after the F word, the
Yeah.
number one is going to go to Summit, which is like the biggest out of region thing, right?
Yes.
You were at Summit before, not as a competitor, but as a coach for Prison when he went. And now, I mean, I don't want to jinx anything, but you very likely have the opportunity to go as a competitor for the first time. And if not you, we could see another possibly first-time competitor from Europe. How do you think Europe will fare at Summit? If it's you, or if it's a different person, or just like any hypothetical, like how do you think you guys will do?
I think we'll do well. I think it's hard for me to say because I feel like the people who will go to Summit from the US, depending on how it's done, if it's not the net play demons or not, like the super grinders, like Ben or what Kodorin, Ben. I've seen J-Muck a lot. I've seen Moki. Like, if there's more names that are like from the previous era, I think we'll do comparatively better than we've ever done before. If there's the names from now, I don't really know, because to me it feels the way it feels to me is Leffen has gone over this, but the way the US works, I feel like a lot of players are way better in tournament than we are in Europe. I feel like there's less tournaments here, and the way I like playing, I kind of hate net play tournaments. I've entered all the big ones, and I'm gonna enter all the same events now to get more like experience, but I dislike net play tournaments immensely because it doesn't feel nearly as rewarding, and it feels just as bad losing, even worse, because I can't like leave the room and be gone.
Do you think this is why Priscent was like deemed the friendlies monster at Smash Summit? Do you think that has anything to do with it?
Yes,
I remember all the top players talking about him in friendlies.
Mm-hmm.
So Priscent is more extreme than basically anyone else in this way, because he grew up in a region with no tournaments, and he's also like super remote from everyone else. So, and he's also the player that like shoulders the entirety of his country's hopes on him every single time he enters anything. And then also every single other region talks about how good he is constantly and has super high expectations for him, but he also like doesn't really get like an insane amount of experience. So even though he's amazing, I feel like he has more pressure than most people, and he's especially at Summit, it's like you go to Summit as a European, it's you're representing the entire region, and and then you hear all the top players saying like, okay, he's so good, and you have to show it constantly. It's a lot of pressure, and I feel like he's always had this. He's always been the type of player to just play better in friendlies than in tournament normally. So yeah, I feel like this is represented even better with him than with any other European, but it is the same dynamic for sure. And so I think if I go or Frenzy goes, I think it's hard for me to say. I think we're gonna do very well compared to what people think, but people isn't top players. I'm saying like compared to random Redditor 24.
Like the Redditors, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like the Twitch chat or something.
I think we'll do way better than people think based on that, but I don't know how we stack up to the US normally, because I see all these net play tournaments and I don't know if they're also leveling up as fast as we are or not. Because to me, I think Europe is way fucking stronger than it's ever been. And like Ice, even though he's played for ages, he's improved more in the past like couple months than, or like the last 2 tournaments, he's played like completely differently from how he played back in the day. And it's like he's making all these changes. And it's so dope. I really, really like how we're improving. But I also don't want to put my pressure on me. I also just want to do well at Summit, and we'll see what happens. Not gonna think about it more than that. I just think we're likely to do better than people expect.
So you're saying Europe's the best it's ever been right now?
Yes. Or yes and no. I think Europe is way better at like a mid-level, and I think our top level is sort of a combination of people improving really fast and also stagnant players. It's hard for me to say.
I agree. I 100% agree with you. Europe, yeah. I mean, like, it comes down to how much you want to weigh Armada. I think is kind of like a dumb thing. It's like,
yeah, I don't think
it's like when
anyone
you talk about
really-
how Fox does against Puff on stages, you can't bring up how HBox does, right? Because it's like kind of unfair. It's like a different beast entirely. So if you kind of discount like Armada or even Leffen if you wanted to, like if you just look at the everything below that, without a doubt, in my mind, in the SSBM rank era, I think Europe is stronger now. I think very highly of you, and this is not just to butter you up. This is the truth.
Yeah, we've been on the train for a while.
Been on the Pip train for a little bit. No, I think that if we had like the ability to see you at international tournaments, I think you would take a lot of names. Plus I think highly of Solo Battle. Obviously, Frenzy just won this big thing. Ice, I will never not be on the Ice train. Prof,
yeah, when we just for reference at Genesis, when Wheat and I were in the venue and found out that IBDW Ice was happening, we went and we watched the set, and afterwards, we ran over, we watched the set. Ice ended up losing just 1-3 or something, and Wheat and I just gushed about how good Ice looked, and like, oh my god, if he didn't just SD his stock, this could have gone to game 5. Like Ice could win this. Like he's gonna be back in top 8 at a super major at some point. Like we're big believers in him. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's like 7 to 8 people in Europe who in a like the way that just in terms of like the eye test and how they seem to be trending, I think there's like 7 or 8 people in Europe that could be top 50 in a given year.
Agree.
And that's not even
counting
like Sechi, or
person. You just took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, so I agree, and I think the way I and Frenzy play specifically, I think would do very well in US-based tournaments, because we are 2 players that are extremely focused on playing the game better than you and not really the opponent. And that works very well because, if we go somewhere, we're going to punish harder than you, and we don't really have to learn your habits the same way. We just have to execute the game plan. And I think it's kind of hard in Europe in general to I really struggle to look at the trajectory of players right now. I think it's very difficult for me because the reason I feel like we keep losing to Triff, for example, is because Triff plays in a way where he's extremely solid mechanically, and you have to match that. And if you don't match it, you're going to lose 3-0 every time, even though you've gotten like comparatively better than him since last you played. Like he might only have improved not like that much, but he was already so good that, it looked just as dominating this time as last time. And I feel like there's so many players that I feel like they're constantly improving so much, but the results are still like somewhat the same against, the top tier, because the way we play, it's just very brutal in that way, where it's like every edge we get, we just win, right? And I think it's very encouraging to see. I feel like that mentality has always been strong in Europe compared to the US, but it's definitely gotten even stronger recently. And I think Ice is a very good example there, because, to me, Ice was always the player that I hated watching the most. I had a huge vendetta against the way Ice played, because Ice did this thing where he played neutral like the best player in the world and then didn't kill you, and he just kept doing that over and over and winning eventually. But now I feel like at least in the Fox matchup, and even like the fact that he this time he didn't beat Frenzy, but he has beaten Frenzy before, and I feel like in general he's starting to like catch up in terms of, you know, hitting really, really hard. And I think that just works really, really well when you travel out of region. Suddenly it's like, imagine you go to the US, and the US is filled with players who don't really care that much about hitting hard, because honestly, you don't care as much as we do about, you know, abusing every advantage. This is a point that's come up at the last podcast, but we really try to push every advantage as hard as possible. And if you go to the US and you're like comparatively in Europe the type of player that doesn't really do that, I feel like you're gonna get rocked, because the US has way more players and way more diverse play styles, where it's like, oh, you're the neutral god, and you go there and it's like, oh, we've played tournaments 4 times a week, and we're better under pressure, and I've played 800 Foxes with similar styles to you, and it's really rough. But if instead you're the type of player that says, oh, I'm meh in neutral, I'm not that good, but then they hit you and you disintegrate, you just like get Thanos snapped, then it's way easier for those players to perform well out of region. So I think if me, Frenzy, maybe solo battle, but I'm not sure. I think if we 3 go, we'll probably do way better than expected, because we're sort of like that type of player. And like Setchi and Prisant, of course, but I'm talking about the like super active players right now.
No, I think you're right on the money. And Edwin, I can tell you have something that you want to say, but before, let's see who you got. Pipsqueak, if you could play any top player at Summit, like who do you want to play the most? This might be in friendlies, this might be in tournament, this might be you trying to like get an SFET win so your stock can go up and you can get a bunch of Twitter followers, or this might just be you playing whoever so you can learn more. Like, who would be the first person you would want to play?
So I want to play everyone who I played as a coach, because I want to see how I compare now that I'm like on the controller and, you know, don't really feel handicapped the same way. For the reference, for context, when I went to Summit as a coach, I'd only been on the box for 3.5 weeks, if I remember correctly. So I was very early in the switch.
Was that a real box or is that your shoe box?
No, it's a wooden box that I borrowed from.
You play frame 1 now, right?
Yes, I have it right here. Chill, you know, it's a good controller. Regardless, the one I really, really want to play is Plop. I really, really want to play Plop. And the reason I want to play Plop is because he was the one player in the entire place that I played that made me go, oh, I'm not losing because of my execution. I'm losing because I'm taking all the wrong spots. And it was like the type of thing where it's like, against most players, I feel like it's very easy for me to say, okay, these 2 things are why I lose. And I just do these 2 things and I lose, I fix them, I come back, I win. And it's like, that generally, it's very easy to have that improvement mentality. Where Plop was like, oh, so this is a wrong position. This is a losing position. Oh, this is also a losing position. Oh, really? So you're telling me that this too is a losing position? I see. That's very cool of you. And it's sort of like I really look forward to when I get in those spots to see if the changes I made since then make it feel, you know, maybe I'll win, maybe I'll just like come back and it'll be like, oh, now it's 1 or 2 things. Now it's these things I have to work on. Now it's not nearly as overwhelming, right? So that's why Plop is number 1 there, because he's the one player who really made me feel that way.
Was it any particular character of his or just across the cast?
It's only Sheik. The Fox I felt was the same as any Fox did, and you know, it was just the Sheik. And Europe Sheik, not really the strongest region for that character at the moment. We don't really have that many, so that's part of it. And I have played a lot versus Spark recently. Free frame net play. It's a bit laggy, but it is playable, and that. So I do have more matchup experience than I did then, but it's still one of those things where normally I'm so sure that this is the one thing I'ma just fix this. Give me 2 weeks. I'm back. I'm in the lab, and now I go back and play, and I do better. I might still lose, but I don't lose the same way. I lose in another way. It's a new exciting form of loss. While with Plop, it's so hard for me to feel confident about that. I really want to go there and see like what's it like now.
Interesting.
Let's make it happen. If you
Yeah,
don't,
yeah,
I mean, make it happen by you. Getting,
I'm gonna
by
enter all
winning.
the Levo events. So I haven't been entering super much, but I caught up with studies and stuff. I'm gonna stream more, and I'm gonna enter all the weekly like Levo events, and hopefully doing that is what I need. We'll see.
Hell yeah.
The only other thing I'd want to mention, just with regards to giving international players opportunities, is that I think that like people have this idea of like if you go to Summit and you lose in bracket, you lose both your main matches and you're out of the tournament, that itself is like proof, or that it's disappointing, or that like someone didn't live up to expectations. And I think that kind of like I can understand why like an individual competitor might feel pressured by something like that, but it's worth noting that like Summit has some of the best players in the world at the event. Like if you're the 16 seed at Summit, you could reasonably be you could still be a top 30 to 40 player in the world and have to play Zane round 1 and then play Ginger in losers. Like that doesn't tell us anything. The real benefit I think that comes from going to Summit for players who are trending upward is just giving them more exposure to top level players and giving them them a variety to
I agree.
time, or giving them time to play against a variety of play styles and people they otherwise wouldn't have. So for what it's worth, you, Percent, Frenzy, any group of these European players on the circuit could go, and I would still see it, provided that you're still in the scene in a year and two competing, that I would still think it would be worth it.
So I agree, and I think for me specifically, I had a huge complex for the longest time that I thought Europe just sucked, because I went to one US event and I didn't realize that you didn't play on UCF at the time. So I played at Genesis, and my controller couldn't shield drop. It couldn't dashback at all. I had 0 dashback rate, and the notch just broke. So I had like 3 things break at the same time, and I placed really badly. But in my head, I've never been the type to like blame my controller at all. But I lose this way, and I just think, oh my god, I'm so bad. And then I held that for ages, and tried improving as much as possible. Then it turned out, like not too long after, the person I lost to beat Leffen. So I mean, it didn't feel nearly as bad after that. I lost to Lovage, so I come back to Summit as a coach, and I don't. So I took that pretty seriously. I wanted to take I wanted to serve as a coach as much as possible, but I did also play a lot of players, and it was so weird to me. I'd only just switched to the box, and I was like, what? They're not force talking me every game? What's happening? So I think coming back and seeing how I stack up now would be very interesting, because my opinion went from like these are these unbeatable gods of the game. They're these they have every situation under control. They never ever mess up. And then I play again, and it's like, oh, I know I can keep up. This isn't that hard. This isn't that bad, right? Like this is very doable. And I think coming back would be very, very interesting for me. And I obviously I wouldn't be mad if someone else earned it more than me. Frenzy is currently 10 points above me in the circuit, but God, I'm gonna try as hard as possible to
10 of the smallest points ever. You got this.
This is true.
I mean, like you said, I think anyone, Europe's so strong right now. Any of the people who are vying for it, I think would be amazing. But no, you're a friend of the podcast. We'll rig some seating or something to get you in. So we're gonna take a short break, and after we get back, we are going to you talk about going to America. We are going to go to the best part of America. We're going to go to the Edwin Budding Stock Exchange. And we're going to sell, trade. We're going to do everything. So we will be right back. We'll be right back with that after this short break.
See you guys. Welcome back, guys, to the Edwin Budding Stock Exchange, a not so new segment of Waiting for Game. Basically, what we're gonna do.
This is the second time we run it. How's it not so new?
Can it only be new once?
Are you gonna cramp my style here, or are you?
No,
I
don't want to cramp anyone's style. I'm sorry.
So I've made a new ally. We mentioned that you and I were allies. Now I'm here cramping your style with wheat. We're allies now.
Jeez.
Yes.
You're just switching sides here. You can't be doing this. Anyways,
Here.
so here's how this is gonna work.
Try to shake my hand. Put your hand up.
Are we doing this? Is this a thing?
No, other way.
You gotta raise it above.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Pretend like it worked
It's
out.
too late.
Whatever. So
We'll Photoshop it in later.
So I'm gonna introduce different segments, right? The long story short is I'm gonna ask you 7 questions. You're gonna have like 30 seconds to answer them. I don't actually keep track of time. Maybe I should. But basically, just you give an answer, you give a short explanation. There's gonna be 7 questions. At the end of the 7 questions, I'm gonna read out the score. And then the winner, the person who answers the questions the best, will get a minute to talk about whatever they want. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, let's start the stock exchange. So for our first segment, it's going to be called buy or sell. In other words, I'm going to mention something that has value or that is a stock in the Melee community. And you're going to tell me whether you want to buy this stock or whether you want to sell it. Are you ready for the first question of our buy or sell segment?
No elaboration or anything, just buy yourself.
No, well, give a short explanation.
Okay.
30 seconds or less.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 1. Buy or sell Niklas2912?
Oh, fuck.
I'll buy.
Buy.
I would initially say sell because I don't want to buy mid tiers, but no, I don't think people really know who he is, and I think that because of that he keeps on winning. Obviously, in Europe, he's doing a little better than I thought, but yeah, let's send him to America. Let's make him annoy all these Americans. Buy.
Yes,
I want to see that happen.
Super buy. Send to America. Super buy. That you need to experience this. Super buy that stock.
Okay. That ends the first question. The second question of the buy or sell segment is Plups Fox. Pip, take it away.
Sell. Sheik's too good. Dislike his Fox. It's not nearly as special to me. Good movement, but it does everything the Sheik does. But I am a little bit worse. Sell. Go Sheik. Except it's Puff. Buy versus Puff.
Yeah, I'll buy because I think seeing him back at SCL with mostly Sheik and the qualifiers as basically all Sheik really showed his huge improvement.
Yeah.
But the second HBox gets back on LAN, I'll buy that Fox because that Fox is coming back out.
Yeah, I buy it versus Puff, but sell.
I'm buying it low because we haven't seen Puff Fox in a little bit.
Same. We buy it
I'll
low.
buy it low and I'll sell high.
Buy at the dip.
Okay. And for the final buy or sell question, buy or sell wins over Hungrybox in 2021. You go first.
2021.
I'll buy.
Okay.
Those sound great. It's amazing. I mean, it's it doesn't. I mean, by the time we finish this podcast, I'm sure someone else random is going to have another win on him, and that only makes it better in my mind. It's like one of those stocks that you buy because you think it's funny, but you're losing money the entire time.
No, I want to sell. I'm selling because I really just want to see him. I don't want to see him as dominant as before, but I want to see him at least be consistently one level instead of.
It's truly like a
being
monkey
every
ball
level.
scenario. It's I wish Hungrybox was worse, and then somehow we get this.
Yeah, it's bro, pick a level. That's sort of what I feel. I feel pick a level because I looked at him versus Sane and I'm like, wait, you're top 2. What's this? Why are you doing this well all of a sudden? And no, why did you get 3-0'd by this other Marth? But then keep it this close versus Sane. So sell.
All right.
I need you to keep consistency.
Okay, we got to move on. So I'm gonna go into the second segment, which is called "Is This a Bubble?" The segment was previously called Steal or Scam, but I figured is this a bubble would just communicate the point a little better. Okay. And by I mean Ambi suggested it'd be called Is This a Bubble? So we're running with it. So for the first question on the Is This a Bubble segment, tell me, Pipsqueak, are GameCube controllers a bubble?
Yes. It's not even a question. Yes, they're the biggest bubble of all time. They fucking suck. We need better GameCube controllers, like Panda or Goomwave or something affordable, or a Smash Stick, ideally, something like that. GameCube controllers are the biggest bubble or scam ever made. I hate them. They should all burn.
All right, we.
Do you count Goomwave and stuff like that? Is that GameCube controller, or do you mean like from Nintendo GameCube controller, like as is?
You got to answer the question.
Oh my! I'm trying to Fine. I refuse to answer this question because I can't get it clarified. Give Pip the point.
Easy
All right.
money.
Is this a bubble? An esports
You still didn't answer the question.
No, he answered it.
No, I'm asking you. Did Goomwave count as controller?
No, move on. You lose.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Thank
Sometimes
you.
just
All
have
right.
to hold your
Is
loss.
this a bubble?
Flamed by
An
the fans.
esports certification? Tell me.
I mean, it shouldn't. It's one of those things where it comes out of the gate and everyone already knows it's dumb. But same with NFTs, and somehow like you're gonna get NFTs in your lunch boxes. So no, I don't think it'll be a bubble. I think this is a bad idea that will only get bigger and bigger. I guess bubbles get big.
I want it to be a bubble, but I have to agree. I don't think it's a bubble, and maybe something good will come from it. But at the moment, yeah, no, they're probably not. But I wish they were.
Yeah, it's gonna be funny because you gotta like show your esports certification card, but then also you could just have someone who has a degree in event running, and that'll supersede all that.
All right, and then for the final, is this a bubble question? Slippy tournaments. Is it a bubble, or are they a bubble? I don't know.
Who are you asking?
Pip, you tell me why you're shaking your head.
No, they're not. They're not going to be as big as now, but they will continue in some form. They're way too efficient, like amount of like time spent, hosting, getting venue, and all that shit. Cutting that down and still having this good of an experience means they'll always have a place, no matter what. They probably won't be majors, but they will exist, and they do certainly have a place. I don't think they could ever be a bubble in their current spot, and they're only going to get better. I think they're amazing.
And
I agree with everything you said, but that makes it a bubble. If you have 1,000-person tournaments and then suddenly they don't exist anymore, that's a bubble. I'm saying it's a bubble. They will continue to exist as like 20-person events, and they'll be great and they'll be very helpful for the community.
Definitions.
That's definition bubble.
All right.
But their value won't go down.
Okay,
we're gonna be still good.
It's a great
I'm just
bubble.
gonna let you guys know right now. You both are tied at 3-3. So the next question is going to be the final one. It's going to be the tiebreaker.
I mean, if you clarified about a GameCube controller,
and it's going to be the one
not be in here.
that determines which of you will get your minute of fame.
Okay.
So here's the final question. This is a new category called Market Watch, which is basically where you make a prediction. So I want you to tell me, outside of Leffen, which European player will finish 2021 with a positive record versus Triff?
Solo battle. I think solo battle is the easy choice, but I'm here for it. I think solo battle is amazing, and Triff, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with his controller, but as long as we keep seeing this Marth and Cheek and stuff that are Fox and Falco, I could see solo battle having another nice plump 4-2 record or something.
So I can't pick the same one, because if I do, we automatically tie again and no one wins. So this absolutely
your reasoning could be better.
Yeah. Okay. So I also kind of don't. Solo battle's the only pick. It's the only one that makes sense. It's like
pick yourself.
Me. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So here's the thing. I think solo battle, might not, because solo battle is kind of meh against Fox, but if solo battle like pops off against Fox and learns that matchup, it's guaranteed solo battle. There's nothing Triff can do. But if not, it's like yeah, what do you do? Me. I gotta figure that out. I've been studying super hard versus Peach. I'm picking me. It's me.
All right.
This was a bad pick.
I am so sorry to say this, but you have now beaten our first two guests on this segment.
Really?
You are the winner.
I thought Pip's confidence in himself would win him the point.
Pip had too much wavering
Don't
the
talk
opposite
about
of
him like he's not
confidence
here. Let me get my minute to talk.
Pip was not declarative enough. Wheat, you got a minute. Take it away.
I just want to talk about the importance of really when you have a question that's supposed to be succinct, really understanding what the audience is going to hear. So when you say a GameCube controller bubble, well, we're in a weird situation. What does a Panda controller mean? What does a Goomwave mean? And when you have proctors who don't even answer these questions, it really makes you wonder why you're even giving them clout in the community. So with this minute, I should just say anyone who's following Edwin Budding on Twitter, don't unfollow, but consider who you're following. And maybe you didn't even follow Edwin Budding. Maybe you followed Today in Smash, and suddenly now you're following Edwin Budding.
This is what I get. I give him the victory. We need a guest to come on and dethrone Wheat.
Get stock on.
Don't interrupt him. It's just 1 minute of uninterrupted. Don't interrupt him.
I told you I wasn't keeping count. It's vaguely we're being loose with time parameters.
Man, he can't even count to 60.
Yeah, no, it's honestly very pathetic. I gotta agree.
What? You lost to him. You're not supposed to be taking his side. I'm trying to court one of you back.
It's close to Stockholm syndrome.
Oh my god. Whatever. This segment is done. I hope you enjoyed winning, Wheat.
I enjoy the fruits
you've beaten two guests now. You're demoralizing them.
No, I was having a good time. I'm happy you won. I can't. What was I gonna say? I have nothing to say. Yeah, good.
Yeah, competing with my good friend Pip. Doesn't matter who wins. We're the real victors.
Yeah. What he said.
But we are coming up to something where the real victors are not the friends we made along the way. It's actually the people who beat someone in Super Smash Bros. Melee. We're looking to Summit Champions League Week 3, which is going to be a really big one for the tournament as a whole, because this is the last one that's going to have an open qualifier to get those last 4 spots. I don't know if you guys know the format of Summit this year or SCL this year, but it's going to have 16 people. Like the people who finish in Division 1 and 2 are going to move into a 16-person bracket in winners and losers. And it's going to, God, I hope this isn't sensitive information. I'm sure this has been said before. Yeah, I don't think I'm leaking anything. Okay.
I think you're in the clear.
Yeah, the format, it just came up exactly what you're saying. So
okay, cool. But yeah, so the top 6 are going to qualify for the actual bona fide summit itself. So this is going to be the last time, we have the people who qualified from last week who are in, but there's only 4 more players who could possibly make bracket. And like, we're getting really close to it, man. We can smell in-person tournaments. We're getting so close. This is possibly one of the more important weeks of SCL that we've ever seen.
I have to make an addendum here. You say this, I haven't even gotten my first vaccine. It's a long time away. I'm very much sitting here, like, the guy watching on from far away going like, yeah, we're starting soon. We're starting real life bracket soon.
Yeah, you're very much Squidward in the window. No,
yeah, exactly.
Dude, we'll put you in a... we will.
Have a, PC screen with me. Just walk me around.
We'll put you in a little bubble or something. I'll get Aiden to make a special bubble.
Yeah.
And you'll just like roll around the greater LA area. Throw you in and out in the bubble.
I feel so iced out. Yeah. I don't have anything to contribute to this bit.
There's no bit. We're just talking about being in a bubble.
Yeah, it's just truth. It's just truth, dude.
We're gonna put him in a big bubble.
I'm just jealous, okay? You two are having a good time talking to each other, cracking jokes back and forth. Remember when we had this bit? When we had this?
I mean, it happened before we went live. It happened before we went live. I don't know if that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's even recorded evidence of that, man.
Yeah, I know. Me neither.
Wow. So if it's not live, it's not a true friendship or camaraderie.
Look, I'm just saying, I don't know where your proof is that you two ever got along.
Yeah, like Twitch streamers don't exist outside of streaming. What are you talking about? No.
I know that I'm not looking at Twitch, but I assume we have probably thousands of viewers. The thousands of viewers are watching us, and they're seeing this great friendship. And
exactly.
if you ask them how close you two are, not
Not
sure if
very.
they'd be saying the same thing.
We
I
had
agree.
such a good thing going at the start of the show. Then you joined the dark side.
I don't know if I did. I think I've always been here. I think you're the one who's joined the dark side.
Joined. All right, why don't we
You're
talk
making
about some
fun of my
matches?
pronunciation? Really? Okay. I thought
Wow.
we were friends.
What do you? I don't even know what you said.
on.
I just heard you said joined.
Move on. Move on.
This is hard to watch, Edwin. You just keep
Yeah.
spiraling out of control,
Yeah,
digging yourself deeper and deeper into this hole.
Wait, I
This is
actually
what you
don't
call
understand
content.
what. I actually don't understand what just happened.
That's what you call content, huh? It's never coming back.
Well, how about this? The people who have really dug themselves deep into a hole are the people in Division 2 currently.
Which are?
I thought you were gonna talk about Ginger having to play Zane.
I mean,
Well, that's a
hey,
hole.
that's a hole. if there's a hole, that's a hole. But no, I mean, Division 2 is scary because if you lose one match, you are into Division 2 relegation, as we know. And then, like I said before, dude, if you lose to that hot player, whoever that hot player is, you're out. If you want to make it through Summit, you gotta get voted in or something. And last week we saw a lot of really strong players who ended up getting eliminated. Like, we could see, like, let's say Sunsei loses to Albert or something, and then plays Kadoran in Division 2 relegation. Like, it's scary. So I can send you guys the bracket if you guys want to look at some of the
I have it
matches.
up now.
Yeah, we got it.
Let's hear some predictions, some thoughts on this, because I think there's some juicy ones here. What do you guys like? What we're gonna see?
I trust you when it comes to odds, okay? And I want to ask you something. What odds would you need to bet on Gatsu versus Mango?
I need like 40-1 odds.
Oh. No,
Like literally anyone else but Mango, I would bet all of the Melee Stats Patreon money. And if you want to throw money to that betting pool, you can do so at patreon.com/Melee Stats. But yeah, I am like, I would do it all for Gatsu. I'd bet it all. There's not a player, dude. I think he beat Plup right now. I mean, I don't really think that, but I would bet it.
Good, but Mango's also very, very good in that matchup. So I have
Mango's
hope.
His path to grands this is very like
ridiculously good.
Yeah, it's quite
Don't
favorable.
Have to sugarcoat it. I mean, if SFAT beats Wizrobe, I mean, we might have something there. But even then, I think he's pretty good against Fox as well. I think Mango just in general. But honestly, if STJ beats IBDW, Sane has a hard bracket in comparison. But if IBDW beats STJ, I think both of them are very clearly very favored to,
Yeah, this has kind of been SCL, right? Like, as good as the second tier North American players are, it's kind of always been Mango and Zane. I mean, last SCL, we did see, I think None took a set off Mango. I know Face Roll did.
Face Roll.
Yeah. So definitely some scary people in his path. And like you said, yeah, this is Gatsu into winner of Wizzy SFAT is definitely something that would look good if you're a Mango fan.
Dude, when SFAT, do you remember when SFAT beat Mango like 3 times in a row?
Yeah, it's like at Shine and then Clutch City Clash.
Yeah, what a strange.
I'm not an SFAT hater, but that sucked.
What a strange
am I allowed to say
anomaly.
that? I can just say that straight up sucked.
It straight up sucked because we were watching the Mango's Losers run live and we thought he was the best player at Shine. What was it you said? Two shines in a row where Mango was the best player and didn't win the tournament.
Well, he didn't.
What kind of stats are these? What kind of dummy stats are these? These are real stats.
You could explain this.
Watch the dash dance that that Mango does on Dreamland versus HBox, and then tell me he's not the best player in the whole venue.
I thought stats meant facts, but these aren't facts. I'm starting to become a friend of Edwin Budding here. You're in too deep.
No, you're not gonna be a friend of Edwin.
Okay, you're right.
And also I wanna you're thinking of Shine 2017. He lost to SFAT at Shine 2016 because that was in 2016 where he then lost to Clutch City Clash. How's that for stats?
Good stats.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just sad that I won't be able to. I'll watch these and I'll watch them at 4 a.m. and I'll wake up the day afterwards.
Wait,
feeling
hold
like a
on. How
zombie.
does he get good stats for this one? I'm the one who brought that up.
Because you were wrong. You said it happened at Shine 2017.
No. I said he beat him in 2016 3 times in a row, and I said at Shine 2017 he was also
This
he fit your
revisionist history.
criteria of being the best player in the
I
room,
wasn't.
not
I
winning
wasn't
the
saying that
event.
his stats were like better than yours. I was just saying they're good to make him move on. So don't worry about it. It's fine.
But mine are better.
Yeah.
No, this is sad,
Thank
Edwin.
you.
Move on, man.
God, I'm kind of glad that we're all in the same boat for Division 1, because I think Division 2 has a couple like really interesting matches that I genuinely could not like tell you who would be favored. Well, Hungry Rocks Cobalt, Sunsei Albert, I think will be interesting too. But Moki Ben and Kalamazoo Plup, like those are basically like 2 matchups of like long time established or like players that I think most people would see in the top tier, like Moki and Plup, versus like rising stars like Ben and Kalamazoo. Like
You're
I
gonna
think
get
that's
flamed for calling Kazu a rising star.
Yeah,
Kalamazoo is incredible.
You're not really wrong. He's been a consistent player who now has suddenly become like the best Peach player since Armada.
Dude,
sorry, Trev.
people act like one set where Mango went Falcon in the next 2 games and sandbagged does like somehow outweighs Kalamazoo's like incredible run from being like a stock away from winner sides of Grands at Four Loko, and his whole like resume over the last like quarter of a year has just been phenomenal. Like this guy is legit. He's so good.
Here's the thing. Ben is way more recent than that, isn't he? So in my head, I don't consider Kalamazoo a rising star. I just consider him a star. So
I consider him a rising star because I think most people had Kalamazoo as just like a consistent player, not someone that could like beat Moki, for whatever it's worth, beat Mango and beat like IBW in the stretch of like such a short time. Like to me, that's such a significant jump up from what
in that case, I agree.
Yeah. But you're right that Ben, especially as of recently in the last like month and a half, I think has really turned up his play.
Yeah. I'm a big Ben fan.
Yeah, no,
I wonder how he'll do against Moki. I don't know who will win that.
I think all of those matches are going to be incredible. Like I literally, I could pick favorites, but all of them I think are kind of toss-ups in a way. HBox Cobalt, I assume, will be Game 5, and HBox will pop off and get $40,000 through gift subs. And Cobalt will
SD. He'll side B off the stage.
Yeah,
in the most inconceivable way.
He'll try to like up air off. He'll try to like up smash or something, like fall off Randall and up air. I don't know why he's on Randall at this point, but he's suddenly on Randall. Cobalt's gonna choke this. But he'll do it in a fun way. I'll enjoy watching him choke it.
The greatest SDer of all time.
There's been no better.
I think there's the effect here where Hungrybox, I think, loses to Rising Stars that he hasn't played before, but I think he does way better versus the people who he has a ton of experience with offline as well. So I think even if I might on paper say that Cobalt might be like a really interesting and hard match here, given how they both like performed recently, I think the fact that they have experience from beforehand just makes me as a viewer more likely to think HBox wins.
No, I agree. I mean,
yeah,
I talked to Edwin about this. I was so confident in HBox winning his Smash Summit 10 pool, despite the fact that he was like, people were like, he shouldn't even be invited.
Exactly.
I was like, no, he's gonna win the entire pool. Like, it was like what SFAT, Gatsu, Face Roll. It was all these good people. I was like, no, he's just gonna win.
None, Pew Pew. Yeah, I gotta say, like, you have a strange insight into when Hungrybox will do well and knowing when he's gonna do bad. Like he just like I think I've mentioned this in the Melee Stats podcast Discord server before, but I mentioned how like before Smash Summit 10, this is a period when Hungrybox, he had just lost a tournament to Dawson. Like He was looking like pretty shaky. And I texted Wheat and I said, dude, like you see a Smash Summit like pool, looks really tough. I don't know if he's making a bracket. And Wheat was like, dude, get this weak shit out of my face. And I asked him, I was like, how are you so confident in HBox? And Wheat's like, what, you think like Pew Pew is gonna beat him? You think Nun's gonna beat him? You think Face Roll? I've never seen a more free pool in my life. Like Hungrybox is not only making it to the bracket, if he doesn't face Zane or IBDW, he's winning the tournament.
I need you to calm down. You're stumbling onto secrets you don't want the answer to. You need to for your own safety not pursue this topic anymore.
Yeah, don't go down the HBox rabbit hole.
Fair enough. We could talk forever about this. The point is, Wheat knows when he'll do well. Wheat just knows.
But no, I mean,
it's not paid.
On your on your point, Pip, I think you're right. If you take a player who he normally has like a lot of sets with at majors, I think he will actually do pretty well. I think Kobol is definitely someone to give him a run for his money just because of how long they've played. I put him in like the Gatsu tier of people who could like conceivably win the set and lose the set, right? Like if they played at Grands at like a polarity, I would expect it to go to set 2 of Grands. So this is definitely an interesting one. We're constantly redefining what HBox is. He has an entity that we cannot put into words.
Well, here's the thing, right? We have new information, new critical information that we will determine like how much it means. Is the fact that apparently he's been playing on what is it, 60 hertz and no, it was the adapter.
It's something. It's and then it's gonna be something again, and then he's gonna lose to Ben, and he's like, I've been playing in black and white the entire time.
Maybe, but I think this time I did think it was valid, and I am kind of interested to see if it actually makes a difference or not. We'll see.
Okay, well, he just got like fifth at a tournament, losing to Bones and Koyashi. So
okay, I didn't know this. Move on.
I don't know.
In a different world, that would have been its own segment, right? Like in a different, but we're just so used to it.
Can you imagine if that happened at like Genesis, like an in-person Genesis?
Imagine this happened 2 or 3 years ago, and we just like replaced that dominant streak with just this random loss to Koyashi and who was it? I remember.
Bones.
Bones.
Oh, Bones. Yeah. Imagine this happened at like Genesis 5 or Genesis 6 or something. That would be something like that.
And now it gets 2 minutes on here, if that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think each of those matches will be interesting. And like I said, that could determine who wins or who gets into SCL week 4, which that determines who gets into Summit. So I got to ask, who's making it to bracket, do you think? Like who's making it to week 4? And then who's making that top 6? I need some hot takes here.
Wait, how does this work? So the division people, because they're going to go to Division 1 relegations, and then they get...
Yeah.
Yeah, so can Division 2 people, if they win here and then lose and then win again, do they get bracket or what happens? Or do they have to win both? Do they have to win the relegation here as well, the Division 1 relegation?
So let's say like HBox beats Kobol.
Yeah.
And then ends up losing to Gatsu. That's still Division 2. So that's losers bracket. So he'd still be in, right? The only way you're not in the bracket the last week is if you lose your Division 2 match and then you lose your Division 2 relegation to one of the open players. So if you lose to Slug or whatever, whatever random very good player is going to make it as part of that 4.
Axe maybe not against Slug, but just Axe being
Axe can make it. We could see some names, but like it is scary. 6 slots aren't a lot, and if you put someone in losers, if like we say, if HBox does end up in starting in losers or whatever, I think that's really hard. There were times where that might not be the case, but right now, for him to make top 6 through losers, I don't know.
I think of all of these, I think the two in the division sets that I'm interested in. Obviously Plop, but I don't want to mention Plop because Plop is just too good. But I think Kalamazoo and Sunsei are the two that I have like the most stock in at the moment. Not because, or rather, I think Moki and Ben are super good as well, but I think they're probably like a little bit better, but trajectory-wise, for some reason, in my head, just as Sunsei and Kalamazoo are the two that I like think will come ahead this time. But I don't know.
How about this?
This is rough.
Let's put your money where your mouth is. Sunsei and Keizu do either make top 6, do either get qualified for Summit.
I have to check the bracket first, but
we don't know what the bracket's going to be.
Exactly.
This is just a soul feeling.
I think Sunsei probably. The things I want Ben to do it. I want Ben to really do it. So if I had to vote on someone, I would 100% vote on Ben, but it wouldn't be like, this is because this is, I think, the highest likelihood. That would be Plop. But the mixture, the half heart, half brain says Sunsei for some reason.
I'm gonna go with Sunsei also. I just think I think Plup is a bit of a tall. I know I just gushed about Kalamazoo before, but I feel like Plup is still like a pretty tall order.
I also think Sheik does extremely well versus Peach, so it depends on if he goes Sheik or if he goes Fox. But if he goes Sheik, I think it's a very, very hard time.
I feel like we're talking about a bunch of different matches at once.
Yeah.
How about this? Let's determine as a group what the 6 that we think will qualify will be. I'll go first. I'll say I think Zane will qualify for Summit.
Oh my god!
Honestly, I know I'm a little crazy.
I mean, we can rattle off the top ones. Mango, Zane, IBDW, I think are all 3 like locked in. I also think probably.
I think S2J is pretty.
I'll throw 4 to S2J, and then we got 2 more. Can I throw one in?
Yes.
The way that our world works is so interesting, and time feels we feel like we know it, and yet it still brings so many mysteries. Hbox is going to make it. He's going to make it to
I
Summit.
think so too.
He's going to qualify to Summit. I think somehow it's going to look like it's meant to be. Somehow he's going to be in losers. Somehow his losers bracket path is going to end up like Snaky in this very perfect way where he plays all the people who he can beat. And it just brings him right to
or something,
a plump 5th place.
So this is interesting because as a European, I've realized we haven't had that many this is scripted moments recently. It's mostly been, everyone's playing and having fun. But I think we kind of need that dynamic back. So we need a little bit of the
script will appear in full form. So we got our 6 then, because you guys already said Sunsei. I'm going to keep you to that.
I didn't realize the format because in my head I was like...
Unfortunately, you already agreed to it. This is a binding contract.
Move on.
It's for the hot takes. All right, so the melee stats waiting for game. Top 6 people who are going to make it into Summit. Zane, Mango, IBW, S2J, Hbox, and... Who wants to say it?
Sunsei, yeah. I'm not gonna say anything. I don't know enough. I'm a European. I watch these at like 4 a.m. Do you think I watch them like and analyze who's playing better and who's playing worse? No, I lay in bed and I fall asleep before the tournament finishes. This is the life of a European.
I will say, just looking at this in terms of the relegation, I just noticed the loser of S2J IBW plays Moki Ben, and I feel like that's so tough for whoever. I feel like that's such a brutal draw for anyone who gets dropped there. So like when we're picking Sunsei, that's because I think he has a relatively favorable like path to qualifying for Summit. Yeah. But I think it's going to be a lot harder for. Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot harder for. Someone like
even then, it's hard to look at a week 3 bracket and predict what a week 4 bracket's going to look like because we don't even know what the matches.
I mean, they could do it,
Yeah, I also want to mention the fact that I think of all the people in Division 2 that since they could play, I'm least sure about the result versus Albert. I think I don't know at all if that's even like a given because Falco, it's one of those things where if I haven't seen the particular Falco, it's very easy to be surprised because every Falco is the type of character that has like 10 times the tools of every other character. So each Falco plays completely differently. So even though I say Sunsei, I think it's very worth noting that Albert is not out of the running either.
Yeah, I mean, if
definitely.
Albert beats Sunsei and like runs into S, like if he plays SFAT, I think that's a relatively more like, I think that's a little. I think that's strangely doable for Albert to come back.
I think it's going to be such a sick event.
Same.
Like we're getting into the thick of it, man. This is all the groundwork. It's all laid so we can get to this point. I'm very excited for it.
Same.
Now, Pip, we got some hot questions for you. So we asked around to our patrons, and we can field some questions from the Twitch chat while we're doing that. But we got some questions for some people who are big fans. All right, so first one, probably the most important thing. What is your opinion on Updog?
So that's the name of Nicky's new pet that I think he's adopted it now, or his parents have, and I think it's honestly one of the cutest puppies I've ever seen. So I really like Updog. I'm gonna be completely honest. I think Updog is I'm a bit jealous. I haven't had a pet in a while, so I like Updog. I'm a big fan
Edwin,
of Updog.
do you know Updog? Do you have any questions about what it possibly is?
It's not gonna work on me. how old do you think I am?
You don't know.
Do you think I played into that out of ignorance? I just have to ask. No.
All right.
You have to
I'm
Google
gonna ask the second question. Pip,
Yeah?
are there any players absent on Slippy you're hoping to still see when we get back to LAN?
So number one is present, but do you want US players or EU players? Or
I
both?
was gonna say let's do a split. Let's hear some EU people and then we can hear some US people.
Main two are Present and Sechi, and then I also probably want to see Glory. I think Glory might do. It's the type of player to do better offline, and I haven't seen him enter anything. But I think those
I like
are the
that pick
that I expect to do well offline. And then in the US, this one is hard because they fade out of public memory so fast. But I had a pick. I had such a good pick for this, and then I immediately forgot, and now I'm really mad. No, this is not okay. Sorry, I have to check the top 100 really quick. We can move on to the next question.
Yeah.
I'll really quick find this name because I forget the tag.
God, I hope it's not like Crush or something.
So
No,
I guess in the
I know
meantime,
that.
I guess in the meantime, Pip, what's your favorite matchup in the game involving Fox and why?
That's a hard one. That's a really hard one. It's probably Falco. It's probably Falco. I'm pretty sure. Also, number one pick, but it's not US. It's AMSA, by the way. I really want to see AMSA back.
Nice.
Oh yeah, now I remember who it was. It was Fiction. I want to see Fiction back.
Oh yeah,
good picks.
Yeah, I think Fiction, Face Roll, and have we seen anything from what's his name? No, Spud isn't American. He's Australian. What am I saying? No, that's not US either. Yeah, those are the ones. I want to see Spud, I want to see Fiction, and I want to see Face Roll are the main ones.
Well, unfortunately with Spud, he's not playing. He's quit Melee completely.
Has he?
Oh, yeah, wow. He just doesn't find the game fun anymore.
I believe in the power for Melee to boomerang back into people's lives.
I don't want to. I hate. So that's something I hate. I hate when people like. I think it's fine to respect that they're gone if they want to be gone, and if they come back, that's cool. But I generally don't want to put the pressure on them. So I'm gonna just say that in that case, I'm switching the pick to Samu. I really like Samu's play. I played him earlier today or yesterday. That was really fun. So I want to see Samu, I want to see Fiction, and I want to see Face Roll. That's the main ones.
What's your favorite matchup that doesn't involve Fox?
Oh, that's really fun. I love that. So I really enjoy Marf Falco from Marf's side. and I really enjoy. As a more relevant pick to me, because you may not know this, but I am currently working on a Captain Falcon, and I'm working on him for a specific matchup. I'm working on him for Marth, and that matchup is so fun to play because it's really brutal and really difficult, but it's way more rewarding than the Fox one, even if it's hard. And I've been playing it so much, and I'm having such a blast that I think that's my favorite non-Fox matchup.
Yeah, I caught you and Priscent playing the matchup.
Damn,
not too
what
long
happened to the
ago.
Squeakachu?
Box mainly. I'm also just the fact that I think Pikachu probably does better. I think Pikachu does really well in that matchup. There's lots left to implement from both sides, but the issue is that you can pick an Ices versus my Pikachu, and it's not gonna be pretty. You can't pick an Ices versus my Falcon. It's not gonna be pretty.
So here's an interesting one. How do you feel about the way Leffen talks about the European scene?
So if Leffen ends up catching this, I don't want him to take this the wrong way. I think Leffen has a habit of talking in a way where he sounds like he has information he doesn't have, and he talks as if he's an authority on a subject that he either knows very little about or makes a ton of assumptions about. And this constantly tilts me, because it's one of those things where in my head it's just better to not say anything if you're, if you don't actually like know why people aren't playing. Or there's some other stuff as well. There's like internet stuff with Germany, and talking, there was one controversy there where I know for a fact that all of the stuff he was saying that Germany should just do, or like this player from Germany should just do, they'd already done, and it didn't work. And it's like every single thing had already been done, and he talked like it was the most obvious thing in the world. And in the same way, I feel like talking about why people aren't entering and like how good or bad Europe is and all that stuff, I feel like in general I just tune it out at this point. I don't find it like super useful information. I feel like the reason he's talking about it this way in my head is because he wants to sort of tilt people into playing more and proving him wrong. And I think that's a very toxic way to do it, and I really dislike that as like a driving force. And a good example is I've worked very hard at Melee, and I worked very hard at everything else, and I'm balancing like as best as I can and investing basically as much of my time as possible into the game. And it's really weird when he has none of that information to like just call me lazy to my face, as if he knows better about my situation than I know about my situation. And I feel that's sort of like how he approaches talking about a lot of stuff. And because of that, I don't really put a lot of stock into it. I think he has some points. The what's it called? He had a Twitter thread about like how often he thinks you should attend tournaments, and like how you can practice for friendlies and you can practice for tournaments and there are different skill sets. And after reading that, I got a little bit of the fact that, okay, he thinks even though you might be getting better, it doesn't matter if you're not, putting yourself under tournament pressure constantly. And I can see the point, but I don't agree with the way he's like, presenting the opinion. Mm-hmm. So that's my take on Leffen talking about Europe. I basically mostly tune it out at this point.
I think I don't want to get into this because I don't want to get into this clip that you're going to get into.
It's fine. I'm not friends with him.
I think you're pretty.
I don't think he's going to hold it against me. I like the guy. It's mostly that I also want to be upfront on it. I can like the guy without, liking how he talks about Europe, and I think he agrees with me as well. That's completely fine.
Yeah, it comes from a place of thinking he's doing the right thing, and I appreciate that, because I feel like there's a lot of games that have lots of people who talk like he does and don't try to. It doesn't come from a nice place, right?
Yeah. So even if I don't agree with the methods, I think he does genuinely do what he thinks is best for the scene. And I want to point out, even if I dislike how he talks about Europe, he's holding Levo like every week, and obviously he's not the only one doing it. There's a couple TOs behind, and all of those deserve recognition as well. But it is still like a pretty huge thing, and there's so many things that make it clear that he is trying his best for Europe, and I will always appreciate that, even if I don't agree with everything.
Well, speaking of Europe, I guess we're running a little late now, so we'll talk about the final questions for a bit. But one of them is, who wins in a crew battle between Europe and the west coast of the United States?
Who's on the west coast? It's Mango.
Oh, we already talked about how you don't know geography, so this is
Yes,
very fun.
Specifically American geography, but it's like, no, I have no idea. Florida isn't there, right?
This is good. No one tell him. Don't look at the chat.
No, I was pretty sure it wasn't. I don't look at the chat. I don't have that shit.
We're gonna make you do a Sporkle quiz right after this.
I don't watch your stream. What do you think? I shut up? No. No, So my obvious answer is gonna be, first of all, Leffen. Is he in or not?
Sweden is not on the west coast of America.
Bruh.
I'm very, very shocked that you got this wrong.
God, I wish it was on the west coast of America. That would be so sick.
Dude,
oh my God.
Imagine Pangea, how many tournaments we could have.
Okay, so we don't have to go into the discussion about how the speed of light isn't fast enough for melee net play, but we can also not get into the discussion on if I happen to know where Sweden is on the map, because I'm fairly sure I do.
All right.
No, my
count
question
Leffen.
was...
Yeah, count box Leffen. How about this? We'll meet you halfway.
No, so I think US has it pretty much no matter what. However, I think first, no matter the crew, no matter the crew size, I think Sweden has it. No, don't clip that. I think the US has it for just the fact that I think we have a couple like really good players, but every single good player I feel like does worse in crew battles, and it's also just the fact that the way we play, I don't really think it works that well as like a first game type of thing, where it's like you play someone in the US, you're just surprised immediately. I feel like when I go there, at least, it's like, okay, this is way different. And I think that doesn't really happen in reverse. So I think just no matter how good we got, if we didn't travel to the US a ton and like get used to it, we'd probably still lose. But as it is, we're also just not as good players. So, I mean, I think it's a pretty clear victory. It would be fun though, and I don't think we get stomped. I think no matter what, we keep it like somewhat respectable.
All right, and here's I think the final one for tonight probably. If you make it to Summit and can bring a coach, who will you bring? I think I know your answer here, but I'll let you say it.
So there's only one pick here, and it's unfortunately this always feels wrong to me. I feel like I'm double timing, but it's not gonna be my teammate. It'll be Present. I have to bring Present. During the pandemic, we've been talking like every day and playing every day and all that stuff, and I would never bring anyone else. We also like, most of my recent improvement comes a lot from just talking about the game with him and exploring stuff and getting practice. So it's him, guaranteed. It wouldn't even be paying back. It wouldn't even be paying back for, you know, him bringing me as his coach during Summit. It wouldn't even be anything about that. It's just who I want to bring baseline. I do want to thank Summit though. We weren't like that super close at that time, but I think after our Summit trip we started hanging out way more, and now we're super close at just everything. So thank you for that. That's super dope. I didn't realize this, but Summit is where it all comes back from.
And you know what? I want to thank you. You want to thank Summit, and I want to thank you because you are such an incredible podcast guest that you're willing to stay up until what? It's almost 5 a.m. over there.
You think I stayed up? No, I stayed up until 1 p.m. and then or 3 p.m. and then I went to bed and I woke up right before this. So yeah, I would not be. This would run for 4 hours if I stayed up. I'm very. You have to be clear on this. But I appreciate the vote of confidence that you have in me. It's very kind of you.
All I'm saying is that I would not do that for a podcast if they asked me. I barely do this podcast.
You want to hear the real truth? I forgot I was on a podcast. I forgot I was booked here. I was staying up, or my internet died, and I was like, I guess I'll try and go to bed. Like, this sucks. I have no internet. And then I checked Twitter on my phone, and it's like, Pipsqueak is appearing on the podcast at 3 a.m. tomorrow night. I'm like, I guess I can't go to bed, and I have no internet. What's going on? So, I mean, it was I guess I'm just that nice. Don't worry about it.
Well,
No,
it was a
I
blast
would've
having
thought
you
that.
on. You were a really fun guest. And for those of you listening and watching, if you like this show, you can support us at patreon.com/meleestats.
I thought you were gonna shield me, but that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's
support
generally
them.
the case where you're supposed to shield the guest first.
No. Don't worry.
Oh,
about
Follow-
that's right.
How about this?
Oh,
I'll
God,
shield
you're right.
for you.
Oh, God.
Twitter.com /Pipsqueak_TV.
Oh my God, I shielded before the guest.
Twitch,
That's fine.
Pipsqueak. What's your Twitch?
It's the same as Twitter. Pipsqueak_TV.
Do you have a live journal or something that you need to plug? That might not have made it to Sweden.
I don't even know what a live journal is, but it sounds dope. I mean, no, don't follow me on live journal. It's gonna be some spam bot because that's all my name ever is. So no, but those are pretty much it. I do YouTube stuff a little bit, but yeah, Twitch and Twitter, mostly Twitter because I never shut up. So I mean, thank you. And honestly, follow me over at Melee Stats. Sub to my Patreon at Melee Stats and all that stuff.
Beautiful.
And your Melee Stats YouTube. The main channel, which of course has your films, and your secondary channel, the Melee Stats Archive, which has podcast uploads and other fun bonus content.
Yeah,
of course.
I really liked my video on bananas and
Michael, right?
Michael, yeah, you made
did a great
video
job
on
in that.
Yeah, thank you. I did a lot of research, and it really shows. I got a ton of good comments about that, so really shout outs to myself for doing that. It's very kind.
You're one of a kind. You're probably the best gift that Melee has, probably ever had.
Okay, now we're getting too far. I need you to shut up before you doom me to a life of valuing myself too high and egotistical ramblings. This is going too far. I'm out of my comfort zone, but I appreciate it. But also, I will buy into it if you keep going.
All right. Well, let's not go any further. Then we don't want to build your ego up too much. Pip, you're a great guest. I appreciate you being on, making time where, like I said, I would not have. And
I appreciate
Edwin,
being here.
You're here too, Edwin.
Yeah,
way past your bedtime.
No, don't do Edwin like that. No, that's going too far.
Call me old.
I didn't call you old. I just said you have a bedtime.
He may as well be calling me old. Look, not all of us have the time to stay up past the wee hours when the daylight goes out.
This has been fun.
This has been
That's
fun.
all I'm gonna say.
I appreciate you for coming on, and I appreciate you, the viewers. Catch us next week on Waiting for Game, where we're going to talk about SEL Week 3, and we're going to look towards that final bracket where we can finally decide if we're right by including Sunsei. See you guys. Peace.
Thanks, guys.